So we're here in the basement, and I was trying to figure out how to get these interior walls that will be kind of exterior walls. They're going to be load bearing for the most part. Look at these black flies. They're everywhere. So I'm building load bearing walls on the inside of the block foundation. And I was trying to figure out how to set our height so that it's all the same. And there's lots of different ideas on how to do that. And I'm sure you can YouTube it. But what I ended up doing was I set up my transit and I shot a level line and snapped lines all the way around the foundation, all the way. And some of these plates are sitting, you know, the concrete down here is doing one of these things. It's like ocean waves pretty much. So my thought was that I was gonna snap a level line all the way across. Then I can bump my tape into the bottom plate, measure to the line, and then from my benchmark measurement, which is over here, that's the height that we're going off of for overall height. And so I'm gonna bump my tape, measure to the line, and then add what I need to. In this case, it ended up being 21.5 inches. You can forget that because it's not any use to you, but that's what I have here. So that's what we're doing. Bump the tape, add 21.5, good to go. And how I came up with that was because we're gonna end up with a plate on top of the foundation. So it's the block, we'll have a plate on top of there. So I had to add 1.5 inches, and I added another 1/4 so that I'm not actually sitting on the block, so that my wall is load bearing. So it was the block plus 1 3/4 minus 3 inches, which is a double top plate. So that's what I happened to get. So a lot of math, but it's not overly difficult if you don't overthink it. So if anybody hasn't seen this before, this is called a double cut or a cut and break concrete saw. We're using this to cut this wall out. And it has 2 blades and a gap in between it so that you can snap it off like what Alex is doing. I likened it to pulling teeth. You just kind of like wiggle it until it breaks and falls out. And then you can take another bite at it, and you can get up to 16 inches deep with one of these things. Supposedly, I haven't tried it, but supposedly you can do that. And then, so basically, if you had a 32-inch slab of concrete you were cutting through, if you were able to get at both sides, you could actually cut through both ways. Today we're just doing 8 inches. The foundation's missing a tooth. One tooth down, one to go. I'm not sure how old this building is. It was built in many different eras, I think. But I'm looking at this, and this doesn't actually have a footing underneath it. And yet it seems to have stayed just fine. That's just interesting. I was not expecting that. We have a footing here for our little, it's not really an addition because it was here in the first place, but it was just 2 rows of block on like a fieldstone footing, which doesn't get us anywhere close to below frost level. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to end up doing ICF in this portion. But no weight is going to end up being on this wall when we're done with it. So I'm going to leave it. So these squares of concrete that we cut out are going to be for footings underneath the posts that we're going to put beneath these beams. So there's another beam. See, there's one beam over there already in that section. But we're going to have another beam that runs down this whole section, and that's where those are. Now, very interesting, because we found out that some of them, like this guy here, already has some old concrete, and we dug down and it's at least 8 inches deep below there. So once we have that filled back in, we're at 12 to 16 inches of concrete, which is way more than enough for a footing to carry that weight. Some of these other ones, like the one on the end and the one the guys are working on in there, those ones just had sand underneath them. And so we'll dig down so that we have at least 8 inches of concrete. So that's what we have, is at least 8 inches of concrete under there for posts to sit on. A post pad, you could call it a footing, whatever, it's all the same. It's just some extra support, and these are about 32 inches square. So there's plenty of concrete for that post to sit on and carry all the weight that it needs to with the floor system. What an expert cut. Well, we're gonna see how this is gonna go. We're gonna try to take this sign down, and it's encased in concrete, and we have no idea how deep it is or how big that is. So this is an experiment. May or may not make it onto YouTube, we'll see.